Hello everyone, it's Arium, aka Yuno, aka the Firefish guy, and today we have a deck profile for Evilswarms. Now, this is kind of a mix between Shadow Galade's main deck and Raminator's extra deck. They both topped with the deck in more attack monthlies. He just really preferred the Shadow Galade's main deck over Rams, but I really didn't like his extra deck, so I kind of just mashed them together. Yeah, shoutouts to them still for topping with the deck. It's basically a matchup fish deck because well, you're mostly relying on Ophion winning for you. If that doesn't work, you have other options, but they're not as good. You are kind of playing a worst control deck, control mid-range deck compared to the others if you're not in a good matchup. But the deck does have a good matchup thread. It's obviously great versus Mythic Rulers and Sylvans. It's pretty mid versus Mermels. Okay, yeah, it's not very good. But well, because they can easily pop it with their heavy infantry, sorry. But yeah, it also has a good matchup versus artifact decks, mainly Cat. Hat is a lot harder and also fat. And yeah, also decent matchup versus Girgia, but they can just play Girgia and then you're kind of fucked. But yeah, let's get started with 3 copies of Castor. He is your double summon. He's how you make Ophion turn 1. Kinda the main way. If his effect cannot be really negated in any way unless the opponent has a skill drain face up on the field already, or Solemn Warnings it. So like if they finish chain, you still get the double summon, which is good versus weak opponents who don't know that. He's also a warrior, so that's really nice. 3 copies of Kirkion. Kirkion, he can recycle back your Evilswarms, and then you get another normal summon. So he's really strong in the late game, and the fact that he is searchable makes him a lot better than Sombre, which is the same card for Constellars. He's also Spellcaster, which means you could run Downward Magician for Rivalry of the Warlords. I heard someone had that come up. That were like, man, I wish I played the Downer, but yeah, not that important. 3 copies of Heliotrope. He's your vanilla. Unfortunately, Rescue Rabbit is limited, and Unexpected Die is still not out in HUD format, so he's not that strong yet, but you kinda have to play him still. 3 copies of Thunderbird. He's kinda the best standalone Evilswarm besides, late game Kirkion, or even mid game Kirkion. But yeah, that's kind of why we play him. He's just really solid. And 3 copies of Mandragora. If you've seen the Constellar profile, I mentioned that like Algedi is like worse Pollux, but this is much worse than Castor, because it pretty much only works if you're going second. So that sucks, but you kinda do need the extra names and the extra ways to special summon stuff. I'm not running Azathoth, you definitely could though. It's easily the best one of Evilswarm you can search of Pandemic, of Infestation, but Infection, sorry. But yeah, and then one Rescue Rabbit, your 1 card Ophion, one of the strongest cards in the deck, without a doubt. Speaking of one of the strongest cards in the deck, Infestation Pandemic, this card is broken. Basically, Forbidden Lance for your whole field. Searchable. Really cannot say enough about this card. It's amazing. Then 1 Rota, 1 Allure of Darkness. Rota gets you Castor, and your whole deck is dark, and you can afford to banish stuff usually. two MSTs to deal with back rows, and it's also a bit more varied in what it can hit versus like Sylvans. It can hit Sylvania or Miracle Fertilizer, Archfiend Zote. Versus Mermail, you can use it. Well, you can use Abysphere. You can use Wiretap 2 versus Mermails, but versus Mythic Rulers, it's good if you draw it later versus Skill Drain, for example. So yeah. Then 2 copies of Soul Charge, because it's a mid-range deck, and that's, I would say, definitely the best number of Soul Charges to run. And then 1 Dark Hole. You have Pandemic, which protects your field, so it's pretty much free. Then 1 Infestation. This card is what makes Evilswarms, in my opinion, a better deck than Constellars. In my opinion. It gives your deck a consistency card. You can just, like, if your opponent is about to do something to your monsters, you can shuffle them back and search your Crucian or Castor if need be, or Thunderbird. Or Azathoth if you run it. It's kind of why you would run it, honestly, because it's searchable. But yeah, then we have a bunch of traps to help protect Ophio. So 2 Trap Tricks, Trapple Nightmare, 2 Breakthrough Skill, 2 Black Horn of Heaven, 2 Wiretaps, and 1 Deep Prison. And then we're just running, you know, the staples, Bottomless, Compulse, Torrential, and Solemn Warning. Torrential is also really strong because of Pandemic. Moving on to the extra deck. Honestly, we could just end the video at here. There's really not too many situations where you would want to summon something that isn't Ophion. It's that centralizing of a card for the deck. But in case you do want, and in case it's bad in a matchup, you do have 2 copies of Exodon. Finally got a Sacred. Yay. And 1 copy of Bahamut. You can use them with Pandemic to protect them and do stuff. Bahamut is good versus really big monsters. Obviously, it takes quite a bit of resources, 2 monsters plus a monster in hand, but it can steal a game like it steals a monster. And 1 Master Key Beetle too. And then just generic rank 4s, 1/1, Dweller, Rhapsody, Black Ship, Ragnar Zero, Cowboy, and we're also playing Diamond Wolf and Maestroke. Yeah, that's the deck profile. Leave a like, join the Discord, subscribe, and goodbye.